Marvel's Avengers was one of the worst games to release over the past few years. It came out and faced massive backlash because of how many technical problems it had, how repetitive the gameplay was, and how it was monetized. But they decided to keep it alive, even though we heard it lost millions of dollars. But it seems like the time for it is coming to an end because, according to rumors, they can't afford to put new characters in the game and they might kill it off completely. I have a few things to show off, but before we get into the topic at hand, if you enjoy the content that I create, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Follow me on social media like Twitter or mine so that you can see when my content is posted. And of course, if you do really enjoy the videos and the live streams that I create, please consider becoming a Dark Titan via Patreon for just $1 a month, or support the channel via YouTube memberships. All of the links are in the description, and of course, I do really appreciate all of the support. So this comic book article says Marvel Avengers Insider shares worrying update about the future. Now, this game has been out for just over 2 years at this point, but this was a title where they were planning to update it regularly along with things like the TV shows. They were planning on adding all of these new characters. They really wanted to keep it alive for a long time, or at least that was the plan initially. When we heard it launched and it was a failure and they lost millions of dollars, that plan seemed to have shifted a little bit, but they still were adding DLC characters. They were trying to update it, but with every move they made, they kept upsetting people. They kept adding the characters people didn't want. They kept changing monetization systems around and adding pay-to-win items. They never really fixed all of the bugs and glitches that it had, and overall, it was just a disaster of a title. But their plan initially was to keep it around for many, many years, and it seems like that isn't the plan anymore. It says, it sounds like Marvel's Avengers' time on Earth is coming to an end. There's no one who will deny that the Avengers game has not gone to plan for Crystal Dynamics, and there are a variety of reasons why the game has failed to live up to expectations. For one, it's not very good. Two, its post-launch support has been lackluster and often too slow-moving. And three, it just missed out on peak Avengers hype both in timing and by distancing itself from the MCU as much as possible. When this game came out, I had covered it a lot because it was a disaster. People were upset with the characters, with the content, with the monetization, with just everything surrounding this title, and we deemed it a disaster pretty early on, but it seems like they're going to finally kill it. It says, it's unclear how many people still play the game, but Crystal Dynamics has continued to support it. Even when games come out and they are failures, I do still give developers credit for trying to keep it alive, because there's a lot of games that launch and then die. I mean, look at the recent Babylon's Fall. It was out for less than a year and they decided to kill it off because it had under 100 players on Steam consistently. So I do give them some kind of credit for it, but they should have put more time and effort into the content that this game had. According to the leaker on whether or not they will get a big post-launch moment that rejuvenizes the game and brings in new players, he said, I've got to tell you, I'm not sure we ever will. There's only so many things that I can say. I've had conversations in the last few weeks that paint a rather grim picture for the future. I was on record a few months ago saying I don't think we're going to make it to the 4.0 update series. I really don't see it. I mean, that's over a year away. We still have the whole 3.0 update series to get through, so it sounds like they, behind the scenes, are not really sure about the future. But we also heard that in Avengers, She-Hulk was delayed over budget concerns. It just seems like this game isn't bringing any money in, and that's what happens when you don't listen to your consumers and you rush out a game for the holiday season. Again, this game did come out 2 years ago, but it came out in October 2 years ago, and you just don't put the effort into it. It says, according to PlayStation Lifestyle, infamous Marvel's Avengers leaker claimed that She-Hulk was supposed to make her in-game debut in August. However, staffing changes within the studio likely suspended She-Hulk's production. Like I mentioned, they were planning on adding characters that were being introduced into, comics, TV series, all of these different things, and now they can't even afford to do that. And if any of you are active Marvel's Avengers players, you'll be happy to hear that you finally are getting an endgame mission 2 years later than planned. This is the problem, is that they promised to put this mission out years ago when it launched, and they delayed it and said it'll be coming soon, you'll get it eventually, and now they're finally releasing it. It seems like they're just pushing out all of the content that they have to wrap up this game in the next few weeks. I'm sure they'll announce they're finally killing it off. Only time will tell, but if I was an active player of this game, I'd be pretty pissed right now, because while yes, you're getting this content, it's years after they initially were supposed to release it. But it's really no surprise why they're deciding to abandon it, and honestly why they're going to kill the project, because if we go on over to Metacritic, even though this game is on multiple platforms and I only have the PC version pulled up, every version of the game got absolutely review bombed through the user scores, and even the critic reviews never added up. I mean, a 68 out of 21 critic reviews isn't great, and then user scores were abysmal. It's sitting between a 3 and a 4.4, I believe, is the highest out of all of these. But as you can see, people did not like this title, and there are even individuals still reviewing it to this day who are saying they never fixed it, they never put any more effort into it, and it's just a waste of your time. As you can see, the most recent reviews are still negative. A 4, 7, 3, 1, 0, 7, 5. There are a few 8s here, but there's nothing over an 8 here. And I never really gave this game a chance because I just didn't want to put the time and the effort into it. It was a grind fest, it looked disappointing, and that sucks because I typically like hero games. I think that games like this usually catch my attention and do pretty well, and I would totally play this if it wasn't poorly monetized, pay to win, if they had just taken the time, slowed down a bit in the development process, and said to themselves, is this really what consumers want? Because at the end of the day, it wasn't. They put out a game they liked that they thought was going to do well, and it just didn't. As you can see, the top reviews are saying things like this is an unfathomably terrible game, both in terms of its scope, writing, narrative, characters, and general gameplay. People saying things like, a game is bad when playing as Iron Man is boring and Thor's Mjolnir is a basic hammer. It broke my heart to see how frustrating and bad this game is. This game had so much potential and could have started a parallel MCU-like universe for Marvel games, and unfortunately, it just didn't. We have seen a lot of live service games fail over the years, but this has to be one of the worst. No one is going to forget about this anytime soon. And this is why I don't like live service games. I don't trust them, because one day when they finally decide to shut this title down, you won't be able to access any of your content anymore. Any money or time or effort you put into it will all be gone. Honestly, this game lasted longer than I expected to. I remember when I was initially talking about this game and all the backlash that it faced, that I thought it would really only last a year and a half, so it lasted a little bit longer than I thought that it would, but it's still unfortunate that a Marvel's game came out. It was really terrible, and it just wasn't worth the time or the effort. But as you can see, it sounds like the game is coming to an end and that they are going to be killing it off here soon, because insiders are sharing worrying updates about the future, and they can't even put new characters into the game because they don't have the funds to. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed it, please make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you didn't, make sure to give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video. video really soon.